Hi everyone, it's Lehman with Lace Covered Skies. I'm here today to do some more work on the retro journals, and I spent all of today just kind of working on it. So I'm going to show you what I did. But before I do that, let me show you what I have prepared and put into my ephemera folio, just because I'm getting overrun by stuff. Here it is. Okay, so this might have been in the other video, but these are things that I glued onto file folder, and I just kind of stuck it in here. So these images down here, and I'm going to stick a few more things in here. So I have this yellow car. Love that color. This one. This picture. These are all backed onto file folders, so they're very firm. So let's just leave that there for now. I think I'm gonna have to like get a basket or something, because I'll clear out the baskets that are supposed to be for my in progress things. So these still need to be glued down. I did a lot of gluing today. I used up, I think, 3 of these. And then I started using bigger glue sticks, but this is my favorite. I'm gonna have to really run out and get some more. But these still need to be glued down. I love coupons. I'm actually a big couponer. And I have these that should actually go in here, because I have a project in mind for them. And this project was started probably over a year ago, but I didn't really like what I did, so I just left it there and didn't use them in my last retro journals. And I'm gonna rethink it this time around. But so these I'm gonna finish up later, and I'm going to show you what I have right here. So this is still floating around. I'm not sure if I'm going to use it in here. This I will use, and I still need to decide how I'm going to use it. This is also still kind of pending. This one, I think I'm going to be putting this in a journal, and I'm probably going to, let me see if I can explain what I usually do. So let's say this is my journal, and this is one of the pages. What I do with pages like this is I sew them on so that it's like the center of the signature. I don't know if that makes sense. But when I do it, I am going to show you guys what I do. I really like how it turns out, because you can see the full spread without it having to be the center of the signature, because there's only one center to the signature. So it's kind of like my way of making more opportunities like that. And I'm going to be doing that with a lot of these pages. So what I'm going to do right now is kind of trim down the pages. This is kind of ripped. So let's go ahead and just trim that off. This might go into a children's journal. I don't know if I'm going to use it in this journal. Now that I went through that retro magazine. Let me turn it this way so you guys can see the image. Now that I went through that 70s magazine, I'm finding that I have a lot more 70s images than I do 50s or 60s. So we might go into another magazine, another National Geographic magazine possibly, because that's what I have the most of for 50s stuff, 50s and 60s, so that I can find more images from that time period. I also will probably go into my popular mechanics books, I think, and get images from there because those images are my favorite. Now these are going to also be probably sewn into pages because I like to use big images like this. And where's that magazine? That Women's Day magazine that I came on here with. I pretty much emptied it out, and I thought I loved to show you guys. But I pretty much emptied the whole magazine out, and I separated it into many different things because I can't use every single page, but I wanted to use as much as I could from it. So I started some new folders, and I came up with a folder called Vintage Glue Book, and I basically put all the things that were not quote good enough to go into a journal and that would work better in a vintage glue book. So I'm starting to collect for that. I love making glue books. Probably the worst thing about a glue book is that you have to glue. But I'm hoping that these new glue sticks that I found will make it easier, because this glue stick is very much a wet glue and it slides around a lot easier. I have a lot of trouble with glue sticks because they stick down onto the page and then it's hard to work quickly. But I made my first glue book, I think 2 years ago. I think it was in 2019. And I really enjoyed it. I did the whole thing at once. It wasn't like over a period of time. I'll link that down below if you guys are interested in checking it out. It was I feel like journal making is very crafty, but glue books are a little bit more artistic. Well, for me, because I really think about the caption and I really try to make it symbolic. So I had a lot of fun doing that. It was definitely working a different muscle than making journals. And I love both. All right, so I think this is a really fun one. I love these types of cakes. See, like this, I'm not sure would go into this journal. So I'm going to think about this, the cake. This ad right here with the pie is very reminiscent to me. I feel like in the 80s, when I grew up, the ads still looked kind of like this. Well, this is from the 70s. I think this was 1972. Yeah, I think it was 1972. And things still look like this in the 80s. I already cut that one. I think this will be a really cool page because they look very much part of their time period. I think I used to drink this, the Carnation Instant Breakfast. All right, so another thing that I did was inside that magazine, there were pages like this that are green, and they had different recipes on them. So what I did was I backed them onto a page that I liked. So I like this page because it looks very part of that time. So I'm gonna use it probably as a long page, or I'm gonna put it in as a page with this being part of the other page. I'm not exactly sure yet, but I did that a few times. I think I'm going to go ahead and cut this. So that's how it ends up looking. And I'll see what I figure out with that one. This cake looks so good. Actually, I should trim this first. And these pages, some of them are a little bit brittle, not super brittle. But that's another reason why I want to sew them onto the page that's going to be part of the journal. So they're not going to be their own, like, own page. They're going to have help. All right, and then this one is probably my favorite one. I should actually cut this side first. And this I thought was really cool. this yellow vacuum cleaner with a bag that has like a groovy design on it. Okay, so this is the last page to cut. I have all the images that I glued onto file folder. They've been sitting in my glue press drying. So I want to show you guys what I did. It was a lot of gluing. I just kept gluing today. All right. Okay, so have a whole bunch of stuff in here. Actually, it might be easier if I just see, this is a file folder, someone's file folder from an estate sale. So I'm using all those up right now. This is on file folder as well. So I kept going through the 70s magazine, and I kept, like, I want to use up the whole magazine so I could just toss it out, but I don't want to leave anything behind, and I don't want to take things that are like mediocre where it's gonna make the journal boring, I guess. So I was trying to be selective, but also trying to get as much as I could from the magazine. And I think it was like a pretty thorough job. So this is from an older magazine, the Let's Live book. This is from the 70s. Yeah, the 70s magazine. And then I kept seeing these types of images that are very, it's like packaging that to me looks very 70s or possibly 80s. And I wanted to make sure that they had that look. So I hope that comes across in these images, that it's definitely vintage. But I started saving those. So I have that one. This is an ad. These little things. And I think these would be great as altered paper clips. I've never done altered paper clips, but I see Diane H do them all the time, and they always look so cool. So I think I might watch one of her videos and see how she does it. And I might do that with these. But I think I decided that I want to really fill these, at least the 70s journals, with images that are very 70s and just give the whole journal a very retro vibe, a very 70s vibe in terms of lifestyle. Even though it's going to have a sewing pattern on the front, it's going to encompass like everything that the 70s were according to these books and magazines. So this is going to be a big journaling card. There are those cans. There's this Campbell's soup. So I almost feel like I'm working on those junky junk journals again, but I'm going to make it more more junk journaling and less junky junk journaling. So there's just some more images. I found some cartoons that magazine had a lot of cartoons, and I actually, if they weren't really cool cartoons, I put them aside for the glue book, but I think this one's pretty cool. That lady looks really cool. The car full of kids. Just these different scenes. And then I have this one. So this is a piece of transparency that is not good for anything else. And when I'm gluing, it really helps like make the pages not stick together. Okay, so this is going to be a large journaling card. And then, or it might be a large pocket. And this space food thing, which looks really interesting. And then these little ads. So that's what I have. I'm going to start cutting some of them out and setting them aside. And I think my goal right now is to just like go ham on collecting images and just back a lot of things onto cardstock or file folder so that I have a lot to work with. And then I already have some ideas for the ephemera, which is going to use some of what I'm doing here as well as some other things. So this one is going to end up being a pocket somewhere. If I put it on this kind of file folder, it's going to be a pocket. And this is crooked. Paper cutter, things turn out crooked. I don't know if I'm like, if the bottom edge wasn't straight to begin with. Okay, not this one. And some of these edges will be sewn down. I'm not exactly sure how I want to do it yet, but I think once I have all the images ready, then I can kind of decide what to do. Oh, and this side had this. I should probably put this into the paper cutter because I'm like using this cross to see where that looks. I think that looks straight. All right, so I think I'm going to show you one more thing that I prepared. I glued magazine pages together, so I think you saw this one, and I'm going to try sewing around it and just see how sturdy it is. And I did the same thing for this, and I really like these colors. Not sure if I'm going to keep this in here or if I'm going to use it in a children's junk journal, but I mean, the magazine pages are not that strong on their own, so yeah, I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet, but in the next video I'll show you what I ended up deciding on, and just continue working on these journals. I think there's a lot of work because I'm actually not sure how many I'm going to make yet, but yeah, I think I need to start thinking about that. But if you liked this video and if you like this kind of era, please go ahead and give me a thumbs up down below. Subscribe to my channel for more videos. Thank you so much for watching today, and I will talk to you next time. Bye everyone.